Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Victory Monday. Philadelphia Eagles are in the Super Bowl again after we put that beat down on Washington. So happy times here in the Philadelphia area. We're going to get right into it here. I got my usual cast, and in about 10 minutes, our man Marc Farzetta from the Farzy show is going to cop on and chop it up with us. So guys, man, it's kind of a celebration, dude. I didn't lose my voice, but my voice, I think I maybe set a record for Eagles chants yesterday. So the voice isn't quite 100%, but we're gonna power on through. You know what I'm saying? So
get up, butter. Up.
Yeah. So I got my usual cast. I got my man Sean right in the middle. What's up, Sean? How you doing?
What's up, man? Go Birds! Can't complain on that 50-piece. Stomping on the Commanders. So how's everybody feeling?
Feeling good. And I got my man Mr. 6 for 6, Diego the Hammer Bianchi. What's up, brother?
What's up, dude? How you guys doing? What a good Monday, dude.
Yeah,
Good Monday. That was a great game yesterday. Went down to Common in Frankfurt after. It was fun.
Cool. Oh wait.
Poor material. Guy should never opened up his mouth. The defense coordinator,
No.
And
Jalen's a stud. Saquon's a stud. We got the best team in the whole league.
They're playing on all cylinders, man. It's as easy as that. You got the next man up mentality. And look at Orion Burks, man. From backup to unsung hero. Comes up,
He had a great game yesterday.
Yeah, great game. Not only that, Diego, but figure the two other playoff games, He's stepping up. The batted ball, fumble loss, but we'll get into it more. But, man, it's awesome. And Jalen Carter, he's only going to get better, baby.
Jordan Davis looked good yesterday. It's whoever's out there looks good. The defense is unbelievable.
It is. And it's just something special. Like I was telling Joey before we got on this, from the secondary to our O-line, man, it's just that brotherhood. Stoutland, man.
You didn't hear Quinyon Mitchell's name one time yesterday until he made that interception.
No, he's
not once.
He's a silent assassin, man. He plays his position the way it's supposed to be played, and like you said, and we all said, he shows up in the biggest moments.
When you don't hear a corner's name, they locked somebody up that day.
Yeah, and it goes to show it's kind of almost like, if you guys agree, Darrell Revis, right? Like
they don't even go to his side. They don't even look at him.
Yeah.
McLaurin's only big play was on Darius Slay.
McLaurin, yeah, exactly. And Joey sent me, he's like, a text. He's like, Slay lost a step, and it's true. But
he's still solid though.
Yeah.
But we're going to the bowl, baby.
We're going to the bowl.
I'll tell you. And I'll tell you what. I mean, there were so many. There's so much praise to give to go around. Of course, Jalen had his best game of the playoffs. He looked solid.
Saquon rips a 61-yard touchdown, first offensive play of the game.
Yeah, but I'll tell you though, I'll tell you what really stuck out to me, man, was Landon Dickerson and Juergens gutting through that, John, man, because like you could tell both them dudes were really, really hurting. I mean, Dickerson barely could even walk.
Yeah,
I mean, he's out there hobbling, and then Juergens comes in, plays the second half with a bad back, and then you're sitting there, so two gutty ass performances, and then
Steen was solid too.
Yeah, Steen played well, and then also like the other thing about this team is like the defense, like the speed of the defense. Like when you watch the Eagles play, one of the reasons they force so many turnovers is they all swarm to the football.
Yeah, they all going to punch it out. They're really good at punching the ball out.
It's like fly on shit. Boom, for example, the peanut punch.
Yeah, Peanut Tillman. That's what they're all good at it.
Tillman, yeah. Charles.
Last week, Jalen Carter punched it out on Kyron Williams.
And not correct. TJ Watt is the leader or led the league in the punches of those kind of fumbles. So, I mean, but damn, man, like you said, Joey, Landon Dickerson with a brace on, barely walks. and it was awesome to see, like they said before the game, an emergency player, Jurgens, and he stepped up, and the rest is history, dude.
So what's the concern for their injuries going into the next game? Like, how bad is Dickerson's injury? How bad is Jurgens' injury? Jurgens might be all right.
Jurgens is his back. Dickerson, I don't know the severity of
his knee looked pretty banged up.
But
yeah,
I think he made it worse. But he in that type of moment, I would do the same damn thing. You're playing the biggest game to go where we're going, to the Super Bowl, and he had to be held back. Like, look, somebody's like, "Don't go back in." He's like, "No, I have to go in." Like,
yeah, he's an animal. I also feel like moving him to center, that's a different. You got to bend your knees differently doing that shit.
Yeah.
Like guard, you're more standing up. You know what I mean? Your knees are a little bit higher. But maybe he messes himself up having to play center for that little bit of time.
And I think one thing that kind of screwed him too, because Kelsey was on the pregame thing and he said, with that tush push, you're so low to the ground, but your ass is up, and you gotta hike the ball, almost like let it go underneath your ass, like slide it, not throw it up. And I think that might have kind of, got Dickerson his lower moment of the ground, being so close.
Possible.
Yeah, and they're just warriors. They're not wusses, like my cousin just said. And we can all agree to that, so.
Wasn't it funny? I mean, you watch guys like Landon Dickerson and you watch Cam Jurgens, and these guys are out there, straight up warriors. And then like you hear like the other night, like I know it's a different sport. Like the other night, like Paul George has to leave the Sixers game because his finger's a little hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like obviously it's a different sport. I mean, in basketball, of course, you need your hands to shoot the ball, but it really is something. Like you look at guys like you watch those guys like hobbling around out there, and then you see a Sixers guy like, oh, his finger's hurt. He can't.
Yeah, dude out there playing in a cast, don't even have a hands to club.
Yeah, but no, I mean, so many great moments yesterday, and then were you guys? I mean, the first drive, the Commanders, when they were moving the ball down the field, that was a little concerning, and just the fact that they kept getting those fourth downs, I was like, oh man, are we going to deal with this all day? But then I was a little surprised that Quinn actually kicked the field goal there. I thought maybe he'd go for it again.
I was shocked there too. I would have figured you're going on 4th and 5, 4th and 2, 4th and 4, and then you say, screw it, let's kick a field goal. But if you really think about it, Joey and Diego, it kind of tired their O-line, holding that ball, going down the field. And then the rest is history with Saquon with that damn run, man. And then you got to go back on the field. So.
Yeah, but anyway, well, hey, it looks like we got our man Marc Farzetta about to. Looks like Mark's backstage, so let's get Marc on here to get his perspective on the game. So hang on a second here. Here's our guy right here. Hey, Marc, how you doing, man?
I always love the idea of a virtual backstage. Like, I really wish, like, I should just be back here, like, smoking. Like, I don't even smoke. Well, I smoke cigars, but like smoke cigarettes like it was the 60s, and just be back here with like a glass of whiskey and smoking a cigarette and be like, all right, I got to get out of the waiting room now and go in here and do a show. I always joke around with my friends at the Wings that I want to be like, you guys ever see the movie Semi-Pro?
Yeah.
I think it won an Academy Award. I don't know. But I was the character that Will Arnett plays. He's got the cigarette and he's drinking during the game. I don't know what it is about that era of announcers, but that made me want to be on a microphone. Like stuff like that, like in Slapshot, the announcer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that kind of the late great. Oh my goodness gracious, Bob Uecker.
Oh yeah,
and Sean Kilrain, my man. I haven't even talked about him on my show yet. That era and impression of announcers left an impression on me. So yeah. But anyway, I tell you all that because you used the word waiting room. Sorry. Anyway, how you guys doing? I apologize for my Family Guy brain. Yes.
No, it's all good, man. No, I know it is funny too. It's like, yeah, we got a virtual waiting room. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's funny. But no, man. So obviously it's a great day here. big, everybody's out celebrating, going crazy. I guess, we kind of were talking about yesterday's game, but you know what? I mean, how about, let's just kind of maybe look forward a little bit here. What's your first impressions of this matchup with Kansas City? Like, what's your gut? I mean, what's your initial gut feel?
My feel was I thought Josh Allen had a choke in him. I didn't know if the choke was going to be in the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. So they asked a question of us on the Seth Joyner show, the pre and post game we do on the post game show yesterday. They said, the obvious question, who do you want to face? And I said, I'd rather face the Bills, but I'd rather beat the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more street cred. There's a lot more oomph behind, oh, my goodness, you beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. That's amazing. And I feel like the Eagles would beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. And just looking at it with a little bit more, like a little bit closer eye, I know everyone's going to go to the officiating and how Patrick Mahomes gets every single call and all that stuff. And he does, no doubt about it. But I just overall think that the Eagles are the better football team. I mean, look at the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders went to Detroit. And like the Washington Commanders, the Detroit Lions injuries didn't just all of a sudden happen the week leading up to the Commanders game. Like, they had been shorthanded throughout the season. They reminded me a lot of the 2010 Packers in that they had the core guys there for the most part, the quarterback, most notably the running backs, obviously. But they were dropping guys on IR left and right. I think the Packers in 2010 had like 18 guys on IR, and they only beat the Eagles, and Michael Vick got the link. But the Washington Commanders went there and destroyed them. And then the Washington Commanders come to Philadelphia, and the Eagles dismantle them worse than the beating they put down on the Lions. So what is the limit for the Eagles? If you're judging by this season, when all the talk was going on about the Vikings and all the talk was going on about the Lions, and in the AFC, people are looking at the Bills and are looking at the Chiefs and these teams just dominating. I mean, the Eagles have proven to be the best team in football to this point. The Chiefs barely escape. If Dalton Kincaid catches that not a Hail Mary, but at least a prayer that Josh Allen threw up on fourth down, we're talking about potentially a different outcome here and facing those Bills. So for me, I just think this Eagles team, I'll go with what Zach Bond was saying in the locker room yesterday. This is where we're supposed to be. This feels like exactly where we're supposed to be. And I can't help but feel, and I was really going into this, is this not what it used to be for me as a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles? Because my whole, up until, my senior year of college, like, they hadn't made it. In my lifetime, they weren't in a Super Bowl.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they're in a Super Bowl. It's like, oh, this is incredible. And everyone's going, crazy. And then 2017, obviously, you go back 5 years later with a different quarterback and different head coach. And now you're back with that same quarterback and head coach. So it's like, the phrase that Doug Peterson uttered on the Art Museum steps is now being carried out by Nick Sirianni. This is, in fact, our new norm. It's being carried out by Howie Roseman as well. Jeffrey Lurie, even.
Yeah.
This is our new norm. And I'm watching the season. I'm following it. And Sean, I know you know this, man. Even when the Eagles were 2-2 going into the bye week, I said, this is a playoff team.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of crap. Oh, they're a playoff team. I'm like, okay, hold on. Let's not act like saying you're a playoff team in sports in general nowadays is some big compliment, okay? I didn't say they were a Super Bowl contender. I said that they were a playoff team. And after the Browns game, they showed me that they were still a playoff team, but maybe a one and done. And then they only went on to win 9 more games in a row.
Right.
The only game they drop is one where Jalen Hurts plays 11 snaps, so I guess he's kind of important. They are now going to their second Super Bowl in 3 years. This is incredible. As a kid, you don't think about this. Like, this wasn't possible for the city of Philadelphia. And it really started to hit me as I was walking out to do the post-game show. Like, let's take a second and appreciate everything that just happened here. Let's appreciate, of course, the historic season of Saquon Barkley. Let's appreciate the historic off season of Howie Roseman in going out there and getting Vic Fangio, in crushing his draft picks over the last couple of years now. I've joked many times about how, the job of commentating on sports, and I know you guys can identify with this, was a lot easier when Howie Roseman was just a big, dumb idiot. Like, that was great. That was easy. That was low-hanging fruit for us. And now it's like, damn it, he's awesome. But to the credit of him and the Jeffrey Lurie, and to the benefit of the city of Philadelphia, which ultimately is what I'm rooting for. Howie's done a phenomenal job. And I can't remember a season where I felt better about the starting 22 than I do right now about this Philadelphia Eagles team, top to bottom. Top to bottom. Look, people have made the comparisons. I'll let you get in the second question eventually. People have made the comparisons about the 04 team, and people have made the comparisons about the 2022 team, the 2017 team, and all that stuff. But for me, I think that 2017 team was the deepest roster ever assembled when you consider how many people are the next man up, right?
Yeah.
This is the starting 22. And now with the addition of a guy like Oren Burks picking right up where Nakobe Dean left off.
On Sunday.
This is all trending in the right direction. So I tell you all that to tell you I feel pretty damn good about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really funny too, because you said street cred, and it's so funny because I had this dude cracking up last night because I was saying the same thing. Because basically, if you really look at this, if the Eagles beat the Chiefs, now look how both our Super Bowls would be. You beat New England in 2017, which basically you stopped a three-peat. Yeah. Then if you beat Kansas City, you stop another three-peat. So Philadelphia would have 2 Super Bowls and 5 appearances, but both our Super Bowls were against big-time dynasties. Arguably, Mahomes is on his way possibly to becoming the new GOAT, and you beat the old GOAT. So if you really think about it, if the Eagles do win this Super Bowl, it puts them in the big boy category. We're no longer at the kids' table. We're at the big boy table. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And one of the extra added benefits, just to make this day even better, was I forget the reporter's name in Dallas that asked the question of the Joneses and Brian Schottenheimer. Hey, so what are you guys going to do to be more like Philadelphia? Like, oh my God, thank you. That was, oh man, a Super Bowl trip, and the very next day I get that cherry on top. Thank you. It really is amazing when you can say that you got the best of the best. You got the better of the best. Mm-hmm. And knocking Patrick Mahomes off that pedestal and being the only other quarterback that did it was Tom Brady. That's pretty special. Well, I mean, in the AFC Championship game, the Bengals, but that's pretty special to put those feathers in your cap. That's pretty special. And one of my favorite things from last night was seeing the video of Vic Fangio walk off the field, and I think it was the first. He might have been the first Eagle off the field, coaches and players included. Meaning he went down to the field and then, hugged some people, I'm sure, and then went back to the drawing room. That man's all business. That man's got an assignment. And that man's assignment is to
look in his
crack the code.
Right on the paper, man. He's just zone out with the play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely love that. But to go back to the street cred idea, I think the Eagles are just that team this year. Yeah. I think they are that team. They do not have a weakness. And for anyone that wanted to throw Jalen Hurts under the bus as a weakness, well, that's just that. I mean, you've been to a Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. You're now going to a second Super Bowl in 3 years with Saquon Barkley. So I just don't see it. On the other side of things, you do think about Steve Spagnuolo and what he's going to do with that squad, but I feel pretty damn good about the Birds.
You said 2017 was the deepest roster ever assembled, right? Yeah. Do you think this team is the best Eagles roster ever?
Starting 22. I don't think it goes without saying. I think it goes without saying. The starting 22 is pretty incredible. And then you add to the idea, Diego, of a guy like Oren Burks stepping up for this squad, Tyler Steen stepping up when he was needed in this game, whether it was Landon Dickerson at center. And how about that? Or it was Cam Jurgens at center. Your left guard was held down by a guy who had not gotten real big-time reps in this season. So that's pretty special. And also a guy that, let's not forget, is a tackle in college. So this is pretty special. What the Eagles are doing is pretty special. And you could say that when they go to the Super Bowl, of course it's special, but look how they did it.
Right.
I mean, you had the come to Jesus moment there after week 4. You go into the bye week, week 5. Jalen Hurts throughout the season to that point, including training camp, mini camp, preseason, and all that, Jalen Hurts is asked very simply, hey, say something nice about Nick Sirianni. I'm paraphrasing the question, but that was it. And he was just like, I don't know what a compliment is. He couldn't say anything. And that happened on more than one occasion. And then after the bye week, I forget what the question was, but it had nothing to do with Nick Sirianni. Oh, it was how you spent your bye week. And Jalen was like, yeah, I'd rather not get into that. But I will say that, I was, talked a lot to Nick, and Nick's done a great job. And Nick and I had a conversation about what we need to do with this team. And Nick has a good path and all that stuff. It was like all these compliments to Nick Sirianni. It was like, damn, somebody got in his ear, or was this his own revelation? And the offensive line talking to Nick about, hey, remember we got that guy Saquon Barkley back there? He's pretty good at running the football. Maybe we should do that more. And the Eagles had this complete about face. And I've made this comparison time and time again, but I mean, I imagine you guys and I are around the same age. You grew up in the Barry Sanders era of, if you just had deep, I've said this throughout the season. If you had Barry Sanders behind the Cowboys offensive line, how special would that have been? This is that. This is as close as we'll have to that. And I've always had a real high opinion of Saquon Barkley. I am not at all a Penn State guy, so it doesn't come that way. But watching him with the Giants, I just remember he just ran different. Like I liken it to, a pitcher. Sometimes you just hear that mitt pop different. A hitter, you hear that ball, the crack of the bat is just different. Like there's just something different. The way Saquon Barkley runs the football, or when he just has the ball in his hands, is different. There's a vicious combination of power and grace with his stride that is very well deserving of what is it, Quadzilla? Like there's just something so deserving of that name. And when the Eagles signed him, I still didn't believe it. I needed like 3 other reporters to put it out there that they signed him. And I thought, this is going to be extremely dangerous now that he's got, the dean of Stoutland University organizing the guys that are going to be blocking his path. Like that right there is special as well. So what you've been able to get from him and really this entire Eagles offense as far as talent goes, to answer the question, is pretty remarkable when you start thinking about just the starting 22.
Do you
talking about Nick Sirianni, how much credit do you think he deserves for where we're at?
I think Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are doing something very similar, and that is putting their first philosophy aside in terms of the way they like to play the game. Obviously, Sirianni, I think, comes in wanting to throw the football. I think Jeffrey Lurie is a guy that certainly wants to see that football be thrown. We all know the stories about Doug Peterson's time here in Philly, and they won a game against the Packers in Green Bay, and Jeffrey Lurie's like, so why didn't you pass more? So that was weird. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, I think they're doing a great job of saying my ideal philosophy, I'm going to push that aside in terms of playing the game. The granted overall philosophy is obviously to win. Jalen has said that ad nauseum this year, and rightfully so, because apparently people need to be reminded of it. But I think both those guys are doing a great job of saying, this is how I'd like to do it, but this is the way we need to do it. And I think Nick has done a great job of that this year. I think he's done a great job as well of letting Kellen Moore do his thing. I think Nick had to be slapped on the wrist a couple times this season. And it's got nothing to do with the fans, with that whole argument of yelling at the fans after the Browns game. I think when you come out after the Falcons game and you say Kellen Moore called that play, that's don't blame me.
Yeah.
Even though the play worked, he dropped it, but you could have still just run it. Don't blame me. He's never said it. He didn't say anything close to that about Kellen Moore as the season went on, and he even started taking more responsibility when he talked about the offense. Then the other side of it, after the Browns game, the bigger headline was, well, I called a defense. And I was like, I'm sorry, what was that? And then they asked Vic Fangio about it during his Tuesday press conference, and he's like, you didn't call it. What the hell are you talking? You didn't call it defense.
Yeah.
He might have said like, hey, Vic, they're in zone. And then Vic Fangio's like, yeah, okay, thanks. But even after that, or excuse me, they're they got trips right or something. I don't know. But all that stuff, I think he's done a good job of kind of stepping aside is probably the wrong way to put it, but embracing something different than your own original philosophy, embracing other ideas and listening to your players. There are some people, and this is where I think he and Jalen Hurts fall in the same category. I'm sure Jalen would love to go out there and throw for 300 yards. I'm sure he'd love to sling. I'm sure he'd love to be the star of the show. But if if you're a quarterback, your job, I hate to tell people this, but your job is to win football games. Your job is to it's similar to a coach. You got to put your team in the best possible position to win football games. Jalen is just concentrating on not throwing the football away. To the other team. He's concentrating on not turning the football over. And he has Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line. Right. That is a damn surefire way to win football games, as close to surefire as you can get. So if Jalen just says, okay, hold on, I got to limit my mistakes, and I got to step up and be clutch, whether it was a 4th and 4 like it was here against the Commanders, like it was a 4 and 4, against the Rams, and he put it in the belly of A.J. Brown, whether it was a 3rd and 7 to Dallas Goedert against the Ravens, like it was week 3 of the season when he hit Dallas Goedert on a little rub route over the middle, and he went 67 yards against the Saints in New Orleans. If I just need to step up and be money in those situations, then I'm going to step up and be money in those situations. And guess what? That's all they need him to be, because they got Saquon Barkley back there. I made the analogy, you got a sword and you got a dagger. Both are going to help defend you. But I think we'd rather use the sword. The sword is Saquon. The dagger is Jalen. Mm-hmm. And he knows when to use both. And so does Nick Sirianni, and so does Kellen Moore. And on top of that, just the defense, all the talent they've had in taking the ball away, and Zach Bond and all that. The talent on the roster is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Sean, you had a question, didn't you?
What do you think about your thoughts on the secondary this season compared to, the James Bradbury Super Bowl and all that other stuff?
James Bradbury and Darius Slay had a great year that year, and let's not just push that aside. And I know last year there was a lot to be desired as far as that went, but this year, Quentin Mitchell. I mean, we've talked so many times about the Sidney Joneses of the world, or the Dominic Rodgers-Cromarties of the world, or the Nnamdi Asomugha of the world. Like all these guys that have been brought in by Howie Roseman, not all drafted, but brought in by Howie Roseman, and they haven't worked. Darius Slay kind of worked. Your best guy that you really drafted was Jalen Mills going into this, right? And then on 2 consecutive draft picks in the 1st and 2nd round, all of a sudden, you hit on both those guys. And both those guys look like Pro Bowlers. It's amazing to me. And you're talking about one of the biggest upgrades during the course of the season. Cooper DeJean, if he was playing somewhere else and was in the league for 5 or 6 years, and it was something to do as a trade deadline move or something, this would be a heralded upgrade during the season. Instead, it was an injury that he had to get better from in training camp. He gets better from it, catches up, and then comes out and is an immediate, instant impact player. That does not happen in the NFL. It does not happen to the Eagles, certainly. And you hit on both those draft picks. And then at the same time, your 2 first-round draft picks do nothing but skyrocket throughout the season. Jalen Carter gets better as the year goes on. Nolan Smith is a guy. If I could go somewhere and order crow pie, I don't know where I would go, but I did a big old helping of crow, I would have to just devour that, because I had no expectations for Nolan Smith this year. When he talked about his shoulder injuries and all that stuff, I was like, this guy, he's going to need another year. Nothing from him. Let's go BG. And it looked right up until LA. And then but even before that, Nolan Smith was starting to ramp up. And then when Brandon Graham went down, I said, the guy that has to be the guy to step up is Nolan Smith. And he has done that beyond my wildest expectations. It's been phenomenal.
BG coming back for the Super Bowl?
I would doubt it. I would love to see it. I'm rooting for it. It's not so much what they say, but how they say it. And I know he was talking to Dave Zangaro last night in the locker room, and he said, we'll see. When he dropped the "we'll see" and not a, I got to say I'm feeling really good, and I've been staying in shape, and I've been watching what I eat and whatever. Like it wasn't that. It was a "we'll see" type of thing. And I know he got the evaluation today. I haven't seen if he's cleared. He might have been active, or he's eligible to come off IR. Obviously he's been, but I don't. Yeah, I'd love to say he plays, but I don't think he does.
What's the severity of his tricep injury? That's the thought too. How serious it, like the grade of it.
Yeah, I don't know the grade of it. I do know that it was I was just talking to Seth about this. Or maybe it was Gunner. It's probably Gunner. But it was a similar injury that ended somebody's season that went out 3 or 4 weeks before BG did. And it was during this, It was during a playoff run. It wasn't. I don't think it was a Super Bowl run. But anyway, it's a serious injury, and obviously, the older you get, the more difficult it is to recover. And we're talking about a 36-year-old athlete. But one of the things I loved about BG is this is a guy that was having almost a career year. Might not in terms of sacks, but just in terms of getting in the backfield, tackles for loss. Can't discredit the leadership that he obviously brings to the table. But he was just playing at such an incredibly high level. And Vic Fangio, every opportunity he had, he referenced that it wasn't just some guy on some victory tour or some, farewell tour. It was a guy that was playing really good football at 36 years of age. So I hope that he's back. I don't think he will be.
Yeah, it's a shame because the game that he got hurt against the Rams, he was like all over the field.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Yeah, it was like one of his best games. And then like you said, I mean, Nolan Smith stepping up. I mean, I think we all I think we all need to eat the humble pie on him because he looked like a little kid out there last year. He was so small, and now all of a sudden the guy looks like Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, almost had zero expectations for him coming into the year. We're all like, yeah, he's a second thought,
Yeah. He said, I think it was after the first preseason game. He said that his shoulder is his baby. And then he said, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And my first thought was, what kind of babies are you around? Like,
yeah, because babies always work.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry, what was that? Anyway, so that once that melted my brain and I reassembled it, I was like, okay. And then I was like, and first off, hold on, you're a rookie, dude. You're talking like you're 36 years old and you've spent 14 years in the NFL already. I'm like, what are you talking about? And the other thing was, it was such an interesting interview or press session at his locker because he said like, Georgia, we got to talk about eating off the floor. You got to be hungry enough to eat off the floor, man. And I'm like, yeah, eat off the floor. Yeah, go Bulldogs, And then he was just like, by the way, my shoulder doesn't work sometimes. So I'm like, come again? What was that? That was a wild ride. That was a wild ride listening to that media session. But yeah, I found that wildly interesting. But yeah, I give him a lot of credit. Like, here's how, if you ever needed to know the impact of a good coach, Quenyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, balled out as rookies. Like they got it instantly. Nothing was made too difficult for them. Nothing was over their head. And it speaks to their talent as well. It's not like Vic Fangio waved a magic wand and they were good. He spoke their language. They kept on getting hungry. When Fangio was asked about those guys, he said, yeah, they just continue to thirst for more. There was no I'm good and now this is as good as I'll be. And now this is where I'll stop. No, it was like, all right, I'm good. How do I become great? Oh, I'm playing great. How do I keep playing great? Same thing with Nolan Smith. He's all of a sudden having a career year, and it's not just because of the opportunity. He was ascending even before BG went down, which is what led me to say he's got to be the guy. Of all the guys, he's got to be. No, don't give me the outside influence. He's got to be the guy. And then you also talk about Jalen Carter getting it. I mean, this is a guy that, overslept his alarm in the beginning of the season and didn't miss the start. And one of the things I really loved about this season is you hear Fangio was getting down on Jalen Carter for not saying good morning. And some people might think that's petty. Some people might think that's high school stuff. But every once in a while, it's a good thing for your boss to let you know, like, I'm paying attention. Mm-hmm. Like, we all played sports growing up. We all know the old saying of, like, when they stop talking to you, that's when you got to worry.
Yeah.
Well, he's talking to the guys, and he's keeping them going. And he sent a clear message. Apparently, his first day on the job, according to, I think it was Tim McManus' story on ESPN, saying, yeah, you guys, the problem is you guys just don't know how to work hard. And I was like, damn, like that's sending a message. You'd like to see a little bit more from Jordan Davis. I was hoping his snap count wouldn't go down as much as it did, but it did. The recognition of talent and potential in Zach Bond has been incredible. And Kobe Dean sliding in there has been great. Oren Burks. Well, another great thing when you talk about strategy is the idea of rotating these linebackers in throughout practice throughout the year.
Yeah.
So there's at least a foundation. Like the foundation is built already. You're not pouring the concrete during a game. You've already had some reps with that guy as the season's gone on. So that's why you've been able to see this guy like Oren Burks, and you've been able to see a guy like Zach Bond just get picked right up where they left off when it came to the Kobe Dean's injury. So all that is coaching, and it really has stirred the drink to make this team better and better as the season has gone on.
Yeah, everybody, you look at throughout the league, like everybody looks for like that, that innovative young mind. And of course that's a good thing in many ways. But something should be said for the old quote unquote curmudgeon old coach.
Yeah. Give me the old crotchety guy that is tired of taking sass from people, because it obviously did not work. And I know he had a lot of injuries there on that Miami defense last year. But I found it really interesting because we read all the stories coming out of, I think it was the Miami Herald, put out the stories about how there were problems between Vic and the players, and Vic was too old school and treating the guys like they were kids and whatever. Like, well, if you want to act like a man, if you want to get treated like a man, act like a man. Like, that's the best way to do it. It's similar to the old Jim Schwartz adage of do enough dumbass things, you're going to be labeled a dumbass. Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to Vic Fangio, you want to be treated like a man, act like one. You want to be treated like a big boy, act like one. And that either is going to hit well with players or it's not going to hit well with players. And if it doesn't hit well with players, which apparently it hit fine here in Philadelphia, then you better win. And they were winning. And he just knew how to put the charge in these guys. And he got their attention immediately. And that, to me, that was a sight for sore eyes to see a guy like him come in. I had one concern with Vic Fangio, and I said, if this is really going to be his last stop and he's close to his family, then I'm really hoping that this isn't some cush retirement job for him where he could eke a couple more years out of coaching, a couple more paychecks, and then retire up the street, And it wasn't that at all. It wasn't that at all. He's as good as he's ever been. As good as he's ever been.
Yeah, and when you think about it, like when I think of soft football teams, the first team I think of is the Miami Dolphins. So I don't give them any credit. You know what I mean? Like, if you really think about it, they're really a soft team. So hey, that's their issue.
Yeah, Zach Thomas retired a long time ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, listen, Mark. Thanks a lot for hopping on, man. It's been a lot of fun as usual. Do you want to? I know you said you're very confident. Did you want to make a prediction, or you want to put it out there, or are you holding off?
I was later in the week on my show. I was gonna treat Friday as if it was the Friday before the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'll put you. No. But I'll put you at where my mind is at right now. My mind is on Broad Street.
Yeah,
and we're gonna be parading probably up Broad, over what was the route? They went through City Hall, up JFK to the Art Museum.
Yep.
Yeah. That's where my mind's at.
Gotcha.
That's where my mind's at. So that's what I look forward to.
Yeah, we were in Hatboro last night, right in the heart of Hatboro. Everybody was driving, beeping horns and stuff. I was right by Tui's, right by the Tui's right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but yeah.
Yeah,
the streets of Hatboro.
Yeah, the mean streets of Hatboro. You know what I mean?
But no, that's what my mind's at. The Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl. 2 weeks from Sunday, or a week from Sunday.
I'm with it.
All right, I think yep. So, all right, Mark. Well, listen, man. Like I said, thanks a lot for hopping on. I'm sure everybody knows where to check you out, but if you want to just say where everybody could see you.
Oh yeah, sure. No, at Farzy Show. You guys can catch me at Farzy Show on YouTube. Follow me on the X. Follow me there, Instagram, all that fun stuff. But yeah, easy man to find. I'm the only Marc Farzetta on the planet, so it makes it pretty easy.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, thanks a lot, Mark. Go Birds, man.
Sully, Diego, Sean, good seeing you guys. Talk soon.
All right, Mark. Have a great night.
You too. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Oh man, that was fun. Yeah, hopefully he's right, because the one thing that makes me nervous is the fact that we're also I feel like we all feel really good, and being from Philadelphia, that sometimes makes me nervous. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's hard not to feel good though, because it's not we're just feeling good because we're being homers. This team is ridiculous.
Yeah, the way I see it is, like I said, this secondary. There's no James Bradbury back there. This defense, this secondary and defense wants to punch you in the mouth. Some of these guys got a bad taste from the last time we played them, and just like you said, Diego, we're, from front to back, we're stacked. And Saquon Barkley, you can almost hear it and see it in him that he loves being on this team. and he wants that big game, which is the Super Bowl. And it can happen with him because the dude's undeniably one of, if not the best running backs this season. And I just love the way he runs and how he sees the field. And I'm confident, just like the rest of us, we're going to be partying on broad.
The only little bit of doubt you can have is they have Mahomes.
Yeah,
But
yeah, the coach quarterback.
Exactly. They're the Brady, Bill Belichick of this era. Like they just win. I don't even feel like KC has been dominant this year, and they still won what 14 games in the regular season.
Yeah, actually, I think they were. Yeah, they were. Yeah, I think they might even been 15-2 because
15.
Yeah, I mean, I only recall them losing the game in Buffalo, and then I think they lost. I think Denver beat them last game of the season because they started Wentz. They had all their backups in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so, they didn't give a shit about that game.
Yeah.
So I mean, as long as you have Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're right there with it. You know.
So
Kyle's hating right now. He's mad. He's mad we spanked them yesterday.
Yeah. Kyle says Chiefs 31, Eagles 28. Yeah, Kyle. You know, I don't know, man. Just take that L, bro. Thanks for checking us out. But take that L. Enjoy the L.
Yeah, you gotta take it. You know, like it was. You gotta take that one. Root for the Eagles. You know.
Hey, you know what? All kidding aside, though, like that Commanders team, like you can see though they're on the top.
They don't have a defense. They don't have a defense. They don't have a defense.
But I'm saying though, with that kid at quarterback, like a couple good drafts and free agent signings, if they
that's what I was gonna say. They don't have a defense. You give Jaden Daniels a defense, he's probably playing for the division for the next 10 years.
Yeah, they're gonna be a problem.
They're good. They are very good.
At the end, you give them another linebacker because Wagner's old. He's getting up.
And they need a number one wide receiver. Like Terry McLaurin's good, but he's like Devontae Smith good. They need like an AJ Brown, you know, someone who can like really dominate a game with his size and strength and bail Jaden Daniels out.
If Mahomes is Thanos, then Hurts is Iron Man. He's taking that damn glove.
Yeah, he's putting it on.
Yeah, so.
Joaquin Stable Keno says, "Don't let Lee bet on the game."
Got
another comment. Kyle Morcell says, "I think the Eagles are absurd. Their defense is absurd. Saquon is absurd, but we all know the NFL wants a Mahomes 3-pay." Well, that is a concern. I mean, did you guys see? I think it was on Instagram where Dave Portnoy was talking about that spot on that fourth.
Yeah,
down.
Josh Allen got the first down.
Yeah, that was a terrible spot. I mean, I'm really not to blame the refs, dude. Like that's not. I'm normally not that guy.
Chiefs always get 1-2 extra calls every game.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because it is very ironic that it seems like every time there's a fuck up, it always is in their favor. Like it's never in the other team's favor. It's always in their favor. You know what I'm saying?
One of the receivers, I think it was DeAndre Hopkins. He clearly didn't catch the ball, and they gave it to him.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that play
this morning, Joey. Check it out if you didn't see it. But it's ridiculous. You know, let these refs play. Let these guys play the game. You know, you don't want to see it get in their favor, in the refs' hands. Is what I'm saying. You know.
Well, hey, you know how you do that? You play like the Philadelphia Eagles been playing. You dominate the line of scrimmage. Hey, the one thing, you know what I mean? Like you push them around, dominate the line of scrimmage, establish the running game.
Time of possession.
You know what's ironic? I guess it probably. You know, it's so funny. It's so funny. My buddy Ryan Smitty just texted me because he asked me what I thought of the game. He said refs a factor. So everybody's, you know what I mean? Everybody realizes it with the Chiefs, you know. But I mean, I'm looking yesterday.
It's not just the Eagles fans either. It's every other fan but them.
Yeah, exactly. It's fans throughout the NFL basically.
You see it from the ball boy calling a timeout. Come on, you know that's something, and we can go on and on, but let's not let the refs get involved.
Yeah,
you take the refs out of it by dominating the game.
And that's and team, like Joey said, is the kryptonite, and I think somebody is going to humble the GOAT, like Joey says, soon to be Mahomes. And you know what? I see it happening. My guy is going to be Jalen Carter, maybe even Zach Bond.
No, how I think. I think the Eagles, what they're going to need to do to win. The Chiefs' interior offensive line is pretty good. Like the center's good. They have a good guard, but their tackles, you can exploit their tackles. And what I'm thinking is the way Nolan Smith's playing. I think the key to the football game is going to be Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat getting pressure from the outside.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And hey, the one thing in New Orleans, they're not going to have that bullshit field that they had 2 years ago where our dudes were slipping all over the place. In New Orleans, I think that's going to favor the Eagles because we're going to have speed coming off the edge. And, I mean, how many times do those dudes from the Chiefs false start, those tackles? You know what I mean?
A lot.
The NFL with 33.
What's his name? Jawan Johnson or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, he about to get his ass kicked. Nolan Smith's coming for that ass, bro. He's coming for that ass.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Here now, this is a concern. Kyle brings up a good point. He says also Spagnuolo, as bad as Chiefs players can be on defense, Spagnuolo is very smart, so he may have some schemes for the Eagles' offense. And really, the Chiefs' defense actually is pretty good now. Although
I feel like that's the problem though. It's hard to scheme this Eagles offense. Who are you scheming for? You scheming for Saquon Barkley? AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert's been getting his. It's hard to scheme for this team when our talent level is just higher than the other team.
Yeah, and the one thing from yesterday's game, the Bills were running the football pretty good. In fact, again, the things that cost teams like you look at the way the Bills lose these games. I think their last few losses to the Chiefs were decided by 5 points, but I thought the Bills made some coaching errors. Like James Cook was running the football really good. The last couple drives, he didn't even touch the ball.
Yeah, he had two touchdowns too.
That was terrible.
For that, because they did that. I think the first playoff game or the end of the season game. Because I had James Cook in fantasy, and like you said, Joe, they don't run him. They run Ty Johnson. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Go with the hot hand.
Yeah. I mean it. And that kind of goes down to Sean McDermott, has had a lot of success in Buffalo. They're a good football team. And I guess if I have any concern about the Eagles now, Sirianni deserves some credit. Got to give Sirianni credit. I mean, shit, I think I saw something. He's 53-18 since somebody posted on X. I think he's 53-18 since that speech where everybody broke his balls, where he made the flower speech his first year. Yeah. And everybody was kind of fucking with him. They're like, oh, what's up with this dude? Well, he's 53-18 since that speech.
And going on a second Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah. But that being said, you're going against a guy in Andy Reid who, I mean, shit, God, how many Super Bowls is this for him? Christ. Well, he was one for us, and then what? What's this, 4 or 5? Because they lost one in Kansas City. So what's this? His fourth? No, this is his fifth Super Bowl with it. So this is like his 6th Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, 6, 7 Super Bowl at least.
Yeah, and not just that, but how many championships? I mean, Christ, Andy Reid's at least made the championship game at about 11 or 12 times.
Yeah.
So I mean, this guy in what, 25 years? Wow, that's really remarkable when you think about it.
It really puts Andy Reid in the conversation of the best coach ever.
Yeah, well, and we're talking about concerns. I mean, that's there are two concerns. Yeah, or the Eagles. You got to give Sirianni props. And obviously the coordinators and real quick too. Another we're talking about this team. Farzy brought up a good point about Jalen Hurts. Don't you think that Jalen actually deserves more credit for how they play the game?
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, right? How many quarterbacks that get paid? Because look at the money that Jalen Hurts gets paid, right? So,
$51 million.
Yeah, but a lot of guys would let their ego get in the way and be like, "Hey, I need to put up my stats to justify this money." Jalen Hurts is all about what's best for the team. I think he does. I think he should get a lot more credit for that.
Yeah, but you know what justifies it over all that stuff? A Super
Winning.
Bowl.
That's true.
A Super Bowl. Jalen gets a Super Bowl. No one's ever going to think about his stats or question his stats. He's a Super Bowl championship quarterback.
And
That's what he cares about. You know what I'm saying?
He said not too long ago, I just want to win. I don't care about my stats.
He said it here. I think he said it in the last interview.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That says something because he wants the big game.
Well, think about all these quarterbacks that are worried about their stats. They're all at home.
Yeah, they're chilling. Like, yeah, perfect example. If you asked people if you took a poll of people throughout America, and they only played fantasy football, and they just look at stats and shit, and you ask them, who would you take, Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts? Guaranteed, probably 9 out of the 10 would probably say Justin Herbert. Because
I guarantee even some fans would be like, we'll take Justin Herbert. He don't have the team that Jalen Hurts has. Blah, 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 blah. No, these quarterbacks aren't Jalen Hurts. They don't make they don't make the same decisions that Jalen Hurts makes. You know, like you see Justin Herbert play and some of them like other quarterbacks, Sam Darnold, quarterbacks like that. They do some stupid shit sometimes where you're like, why'd you do that? And you never really do that with Jalen Hurts. You're never like, why did he do that? It always, like Jaden Daniels, same thing. Always seems like he makes the right decision.
Yeah. Maurice Wright with
even Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson always makes horrible decisions in key moments. Josh Allen, same thing. Like these quarterbacks, cool. You put up 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, blah blah blah. Jalen Hurts wins more games than you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line. Look at the Chargers playoff game. A lot of people, myself included, thought that they were going to go to Houston and beat them. Justin Herbert threw like 4 picks.
Yeah, I was like, I like Houston because I was like, Justin Herbert's he's just talent. You know what I'm saying? His arm looks good. He can get down the field effortlessly on the run. But like when it really comes down to having to win the game, you got to have a little bit more than talent. You got to be smart and add the talent in with it. That's what Jalen does.
Just like Maurice.
Mahomes does that. You know, Mahomes is the most talented guy. He runs. He picks the run at the perfect times. Like yesterday, he ran a 20-yard touchdown.
You got to make the play. Like Farzy said, he brought up about 5 or 6 big throws by Jalen Hurts, and
4th and 4 to AJ Brown.
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep it real. That pass, like you said, that pass to AJ Brown, that was one of the biggest plays of that football game.
100%, that was big time.
If we don't get the first down there, they get the ball back. They may come down and score. That's a totally different game.
100%.
Sean, what we want to read that one? Let's see what Maurice Wright says there.
Jalen Hurts has the Super Bowl on his mind. Believe he's got to come with his A game and the fumble
trophy. What do you think? I agree.
Couldn't agree more, man. He's an athlete. He's determined. He wants to shut up the naysayers. And the doubters. Most importantly, and to his point, I think he's going to have a good game.
Does he care about touchdown stats, Kyle, or is you just can't stop that play?
Yeah,
he does it to perfection.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that it's the fact that tush push is like a 99% success rate. You know what I'm saying?
It's the best play in football, and I don't want to hear it's not a play. Why don't every team do it? We perfected that play, and to me, it's the best. It's the best play in football. Stop it! You see how much haters they were yesterday? Kept jumping over the line. The refs had to be like, "We're going to give him a touchdown."
I know that was.
You know how pathetic that is for the refs to be like, "We're just going to give him a touchdown." If you don't stop being salty.
I know.
Luve, you can see he gets aggravated. He's kind of that dirty player.
He's good. I like him.
He's good, but they don't call the play on Goff. He took out Hurts.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's football. He plays hard. I didn't see much dirty from him. I think he's a good player.
At the same time, he said he plays like Kevin Green. Kevin Green didn't play like that. He's like, I watched Kevin Green. He's full of shit.
Kevin Green was a fucking much better football player than Lou.
When he said at his presser, Kevin Green, no, you don't, because Kevin Green wouldn't be doing half the stupid shit you do.
Nah, Luve's not a bad player, but he couldn't hold Kevin Green's job. Kevin Green was a fucking monster, bro.
Took the words out of my mouth. He's a tackling machine. So,
yeah, and real quick, you were talking about being you guys that were salty. Well, I'll tell you what. Before we roll out of here, if you wind up getting hurt on the job, I don't want you out there being salty and not getting no coin. You know what I'm saying? So if you get hurt on the job, make sure you call my man Jason Fine, aka Attorney Big L. Don't be salty. He'll get you paid. Motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workers' compensation, or personal injury claim. He's got 3 offices throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey, 1 in Philadelphia, PA, 1 in Cherry Hill, and 1 in Pittsburgh. So. And you know what? Hey, if we win this Super Bowl, we ought to start calling Philadelphia, PA, a city of champions here. Let's
like you said, Joe. We got a seat at the big boys table. We win this championship.
We do.
But it's not with all the other franchises.
Let's see. Kyle Marcel says, I think he thinks the tush push can be taken. I don't think it is.
I don't think it's gonna be.
I think if they were going to do it, they would have done it this year.
Yeah.
Maurice Wright says stats are good on paper. Eagles need to come very aggressive on defense and special teams and gain all the momentum during the game. If they get to the quarterback, they'll have a better chance. Totally agree there.
That was a really nice play the Redskins ran yesterday with the fake punt. I thought that was going to change the game in like a bad way.
That he's like, yeah.
So did I.
But yeah. Got any more comments?
Yeah, no, I was trying. I can't get it for some reason. I was trying to get up to Chris Rapizzi's comment because we were talking about special teams, and I remember what it was. I just wanted to give props to the rookie Shipley.
Shipley had a great game.
Yeah, because Chris Rapizzi pointed that out. Because he had a big hit on special teams, forced a fumble, and then obviously it was garbage time. But like he looked pretty good running the ball at the end too. You know what I mean?
He had 80 kick return yards.
Yeah, well that was big too because you remember we
got it at the 40. We got it at the 39-yard line. Then Saquon breaks a 61-yard touchdown. That's great field position.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference too because if Washington had that long ass drive. The offense is on the field. The offense is offense was on the sidelines for 8 minutes, what I mean? 8-9 minutes.
Yeah.
And next thing you start around the 40, it basically allows you to you settle down. You're like, all right, hey, we're not starting at the 20, we're starting at the 40. All right, it's go time. And then Saquon scores the first play and it's like, all right, it's on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Got another comment here. Kyle Marcel says the game changed with the third fumble. Shaking my head. The Commanders scored and made it a 2-score game, got the ball back, and they fumbled. They don't fumble there, and they make it a 1-score game. It's a different game.
Yeah, for sure.
I could see that. I mean, the turnovers were huge.
Dude, you lose the turnover battle 3-0 against any team in football. That's a hard team. That's a hard game to win.
That's exactly. He could be the Darren Sproles Shipley with Maurice's comment in my opinion.
Well, and you figure, Shipley's probably going to have a bigger role next year because Eagles have a lot of free agents, and I know Kenny Gainwell is one of them. Now,
might be able to get Kenny Gainwell back cheap though.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like Gainwell has a role here, so
I like Gainwell when he comes in, and it's that switch of pace from Saquon to him.
I like Gainwell too, but I guess that'll be. Yeah, you're right. They may be able to keep him because I don't see there being a huge market for Gainwell. So you know what I mean? And he may he knows he's got a role here, so you might be able to bring him back for maybe $1 million or $2 million. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's true. But anyway, if he does leave, Shipley could have a bigger role.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest too. We have Saquon signed. Saquon's great. And he signed for 2 more years, but I know it's way too early to think of draft, but Sean probably knows because Sean, you follow that stuff. this draft is supposed to be like historically big for running backs.
Yeah, dude, Mel Kiper was saying there's like 30 possible running backs coming out that even if they go undrafted are still going to be on NFL rosters next year.
Right. So we have Saquon Barkley. Obviously, we don't need a starting running back, but this football team may take a young running back in like maybe the 4th or 5th round in a deep running back draft that other years he'd be like the 2nd or 3rd round pick. You know what I mean? And then you draft the guy and he kind of develops for like a year or two, and
then you wouldn't bring back Gainwell though.
Right.
Then you would move Shipley up. You draft that guy, be your thing. You know what I'm saying?
Shipley's going to be the return guy. You know, like a Sproles. I could see that. You know, plain simple.
Jalen Carter definitely getting paid.
Yeah.
He might be the highest paid defensive tackle in the league.
Yeah. Maurice Wright says Jade Byers, Virginia Union running back.
And Mo and me always talk about college. That's one of them. A lot of the black colleges and the Division I, AA got a lot of unsung heroes, man. Like the one kid plays for the Raiders. White kid, man. Maurice knows his name. Hell of a running back. I think he played for like New Hampshire or something.
Okay.
But, you know, it's these guys that are hungry, basically, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. If it's a deep running back draft, you know, I'm all for it. Bring a young kid in here, have him learn behind Saquon, and you know, in a few years' time, you know what I mean? You know, 2-3 years from now, then maybe you gotta, if nothing else, you know, look, I mean, let's be honest, Saquon was great this year, and of course we expect him to be great going forward, but you guys know as well as I do, you know, these long seasons for running backs, you know, sometimes they can take a toll on a guy. You know, next year, you know, he may have some bumps and bruises some of these weeks, you know?
Agree. Yeah, I agree.
So look, for perfect example, look at Christian McCaffrey. I mean, the 49ers ran his ass into the ground the last year and a half. I mean, last year McCaffrey was unbelievable. This year he barely played.
Yep.
Now, of course, we don't want that to happen to Saquon.
It could though.
But it can, you know? So you got to start, you know, they got to start thinking of stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, but anyway, why? Well, we'll be doing the show next week, so we don't have to. We don't need to do predictions now.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll hold on for predictions for next week.
Anything else sports wise out there? I mean, I know the Fly. You know, we'll talk about that shit next week. I mean, this was pretty much all Eagles this week. You know.
Yeah, it should be. Sixers don't deserve any time.
Joey, I gotta cut it short. I gotta go pick up G.
All right, brother. All right. Well, I'm gonna close out anyway. So, all right. Well, listen, everybody. Go Birds. You know, next week we'll have a little Super Bowl preview, and hopefully 2 weeks from now we're celebrating the world champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Damn straight.
So, all right, everybody. Have a great week.
All right, bro. Peace out, man.
See ya.
Go Birds.